like, bitch, you a gospel light, bitch.
Fuck you talking about?
If that nigga won't walk, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. Hawk, I keep that stick locked, loaded, boy, he'll fade you line up. Young nigga name is Slayer. What you think, boy? You be done to try. Soft coast shit, we bout it. UPK, shoot solid. Little bitch think I'm crazy, think I'm playing like bitch, I ain't the one. Warfare every day, so who is you, bitch? I don't need your love. Killers right round the way. What you think? I love this brotherhood. Hood. More than you, bitch. Sharp on shit, I'm bout it. UPK, shoot solid. Fuck nigga don't want war. It ain't enough clips in your army. All the bitches wanna take my piece. All the hoes wanna take my piece. All the niggas wanna take my piece. No, I can't let a dog take it from me. I can't let a dog take it from me. You a hoe study and you dummy. And these bitches really out this bitch walking around like they don't know nothing. And a lame nigga fall for them and get set up for the coins and get gunned down, man down. Shoulda took the time, get a damn no. But I see the shawty and I show her. She could never get a priest hoeing. You a dirt ass, rust ass neck bitch with a fake ass jewelry. In Tennessee while I'm touring. It's a Tennessee, but she luring. And that sucker duck bitch ass boy, fuck nigga over that bit muggin'. I say, if that nigga won't walk, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. Hawk, I keep that stick locked, loaded, boy, he'll fade you line up. Young nigga name is Slayer. What you think, boy? You be done to try. Soft coast shit, we bout it. UPK, shoot solid. Little bitch think I'm crazy, think I'm playing like bitch, I ain't the one. Warfare every day, so who is you, bitch? I don't need your love. Killers right round the way. What you think? I love this brotherhood. Hood. More than you, bitch. You a lame nigga down to me. Eat candy, but I'm sucker free. You a little nigga, ain't nothing to me. Bass up, boy, I fit a beat. Yeah, AR-223. Draco with a magazine. Yeah, that clip run like limousine. I shoot your ass in the spleen. Boy, I bust your ass in the temple. We debating by the temple. Tell the truth, boy, you's a victim. And you squirm off like a lizard. Nigga walk down my road. Why does nigga come down my road? Boy, come down my road. Boy, I charge your ass toll fee. I'm a real big priest, nigga. UPK play for keys, nigga. Commander General get a damn order, but ain't nothing to me to damn kill you. I was talking his ass like a cat. All weapons, boys full of tech. Boy, like a close comeback. Nigga got popped off for a neck. If that nigga won't walk, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. Hawk, I keep that stick locked, loaded, boy, he'll fade you line up. Young nigga name is Slayer. What you think, boy? You be done to try. Soft coast shit, we bout it. UPK, shoot solid. Little bitch think I'm crazy, think I'm playing like bitch, I ain't the one. Warfare every day, so who is you, bitch? I don't need your love. Killers right round the way. What you think? I love this brotherhood. Hood. More than you, bitch.
Christ said 7 women gonna be on one nigga in the end time. Nigga, fuck wrong with you, boy. Stressed by that damn hoe ass bitch. Fake ass nigga too. Dumb ass motherfucker. Fuck you.
Backstage.
Don't have messed up, no. Bad news is to beat your home, nigga. Yeah. Go on, get on that ass real quick one time. 144, baby.
They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said, of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, be a whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan. I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course. Get it lit up like a torch. You even low or this low, so that bitch is either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that. I swear I'm to our core. Wait up, let me make a call right quick. I'ma start another war. I was hurting when she left, but I don't care about anymore. I need a Vaselina like my Nina Puffer bar. Took a Zoc, watch the dark. Matter of fact, like a dart. Any problem, let them come. We gon' snatch they soul like Shang Tsung. Put them out of service, keep them tools like Miss Hopper Free. Try to hold me, it's way too late. I'm headed straight to the safe. Throw that one up like a trophy. I'm that nigga, ain't no debate. Told them boys we taking note. Call them up like set the date. This shit a piece of cake. Yeah, my bitches came from Whole Foods. Told them put on that top 3. Then bring me my house shoes. Don't make excuses, make moves. These niggas ungrateful, gotta show them UPK rules. I make hits like I can't lose. They said you get on, you gon' represent. I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I ride that bitch just like like a horse. She about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, we whole guard. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan, I come with the fart. You gon' ride, yeah, of course, get it lit up like a torch. You even low on this Lord, told that bitches either or. Yeah, I know them niggas ain't cut like that, I swear I'm to our core. Yeah, I just got off the call, I'ma start another war. Spit a plate up with my niggas, get your knife and your fork. He ain't locked in with the count, and what you speaking to me for? Yeah, I just took the floor, ain't no cowards in my campaign. They can't stop the campaign, tell them bring the champagne. They know I'm a champion, they can see the outcome. Get them niggas bad, got them tied down and outdone. Came through with them steppers, niggas been down since day one. We run up the bands, bitch, like Dylan. They say you get on, you gon' represent, I said of course. Soon as they crank that beat, I read that bitch just like a horse. Yeah, about to go dumb, yeah, bitch, we whole cart. You ain't know they call me Obi-Wan, I come with the force. You gon' ride, yeah, of course, get it lit up like a torch. You either low or this low, told that bitches either or. I told you niggas, you ain't cut like that, I swear I'm to our car. And I just made the call, we gon' start another war. Yeah.
I got you. Let it vibe real quick. Look.
City eyes, it's time to Bogart. My God, a real nigga, cause he wasn't no flaw. Posted on the corner like a watchdog. Family secure, got that shot in the closet by the mob ball. Fuck what they heard, tell them it's all true. Be cautious, that foundation voltage to fall through.
They gon' fall.
Look, I keep this shit 50 times 2. Ain't no more heart in this game, I'm John Q. Colder than the avalanche, way above average. Offense taste sweet, told him make me an apple crisp. Left us in the valley full of bones, this where hope found. Child become a man, dark sands get broke down. Riding through Evanston with Mark Quad, telling me how them crackers turn his childhood to a ghost town. Poke a sock, nigga, I lay that game down. I feel his pain, cause nothing is the same now. Let my light shine like heaven through a rain cloud. Glock have a fit like my child, no tangents. Try to warn them niggas, we bear arms like tarantulas. Them other niggas rap, I make anthems. I really seen prophets under this banner. Made my enemies bow down on camera. Told my design I wanted black and white like a panda. I'm better than that nigga that sunk dirty Diana. Look, I move like a Brazilian, precious cargo. Spirit ancient, but I got a new semi-auto. Wave that bitch around like where's Waldo. Sleep if they won't, I cut through they Z's like I'm Zorro. Pay me for his name, so I gotta keep that steel clutch. Trust me, I'm not what you think. I squeeze till it click like Dorothy when the heels touch. The world got me dumb, I don't feel much. Ride around with Yaradon, just left the state bridge. Looking for a bitch better than Baby's kid. Remember I dropped Quiet Storm, I've been gone ever since. Still in the field, fuck them niggas on the fence, yeah.
Therapy, for me, came at a time that was really pivotal. Becoming a new father, I needed more.
I stood 10 toes down in these streets, whole ground in these streets. Roll around the city with the pound when it's bleed. I'd have made this my last stand up, but I am not an ordinary man. I'm a motherfucking soldier. The last stand of a soldier. I stood 10 toes down in these streets, whole ground in these streets. Roll around the city with the
something that you might never see again. I never was the tallest, never was the strongest. I just held the record for being real the longest. Niggas know they feeling what I spill at my performance. Shitting on these haters, yellow belly like it's jaundice. You know I be on it, know I keep my bomb lit. Ready just to drop it on you fuckers on some calm shit. Don't doubt the ability, get down in the field with me. Watch how I be flipping on rappers, check the agility, how real it be. I was always taught it's either kill or be killed. When you die, leave your will like Uncle Phil, nigga chill. I done popped up out the matrix, I ain't had to pop no pill. Raised up in them Philly streets, where them gangsters pop that still. I've been down with UPK, whether broke or at a mill. All I care for is my team, I don't care about no deal. Cause I ain't choose this life, it chose me. That ain't a secret, made an oath to give my soul peace. And I'm gon' keep it, climb the mountain, set my goals steep. And I'm gon' reach it, so I'm up all night with no sleep. Nightmares of demons, saw my first fiend OD. That shallow breathing kinda fucked me up low key. But I don't speak it till I die. I promise not a tear fall from my eye. Go to war, this my battle cry. Tell them why.
I stood 10 toes down in these streets, hold ground in these streets, roll around the city with the pound when it's beat. I done made this my last stand, but I am not an ordinary man, I'm a motherfucking soldier. The last stand of a soldier. I stood 10 toes down in these streets, hold ground in these streets. That's right, roll around the city with the pound when it's beat. I done made this my last stand, but I am not an ordinary man, I'm a motherfucking soldier. The last stand of a soldier. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm so ahead of my time, but the flow is ancient. Tell them show some respect, watch what you put my name in. We are nothing to be fucked with, them boys is dangerous. Make it hard for your team like them boys is tanking. Arm extended with the pound like you left me hanging. And beef got well done, nigga, we filleted it. Cause I held ground like I copped some acres. And they don't really want no smokers like they puffin' vapors. When I take ground, we 6 deep in your space. Ready to wreck on what? You take ground, it's a ditch. With 6 niggas picking your casket up. Don't pass this up. They say they built different, but these niggas bounty tough. When it's beef, I rode around with the pound untucked. Coming for the crown, get rid of the bullshit. That's a rule you flush. No matter how many people or weapons, you can't war with us. I done held ground for so long, it ain't no rooting up. Long as my niggas know I'm nice, you ain't got a root for us.
I stood 10 toes down in these streets, hold ground in these streets, roll around the city with the pound when it's beat. I done made this my last stand, but I am not an ordinary man, I'm a motherfucking soldier. The last stand of a soldier. I stood 10 toes down in these streets, hold ground in these streets, roll around the city with the pound when it's beat. I done made this my last stand, but I am not an ordinary man, I'm a motherfucking soldier. The last stand of a soldier. Yeah, 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 yeah. I was made to withstand any weapon form. They know a nigga sick, but it ain't no antiseptic form. Nigga, I'm dependable. Move like I'm in Desert Storm. Politic with generals, so I know how to move when the pressure on. Only the worthy will receive mercy. Real soldiers cry loud like a nurse. Son of the power, UPK birth. Revenge in my bag, nigga, it's an anniversary. They tell us heaven limited, but hell is plentiful. I'm ready to hunt these devils down like the Sentinels. Put them all in chains by the millions. Difference between you and me, I'm a soldier, you a civilian. UPK, we took the lead to end black oppression. But I do not attack, I just match aggression. This soldier life for me, wouldn't trade it for another. The Lord and my brothers, the only thing about my bread and butter. I bring that bass like a subwoofer, leave them shook up. They say life's a bitch, I say you should've never took her. The leaders hookers, me and Ty War, riding around with the pound, ready to put the beef in the pressure. I stood 10 toes down in these streets, hold ground in these streets, roll around the city with the pound when it's beat. I done made this my last stand, but I am not an ordinary man, I'm a motherfucking soldier. The last stand of a soldier.
This my last stand, but I am not an ordinary man. I'm a motherfucking soldier. The last stand of a soldier. Yeah, 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 yeah.
You quit being boring. Get up and
JT on the track. Fuck wrong with you, boy? You know what time it is, nigga.
Better watch how you step in, yeah. But that was my niggas,
A minute, yo. Got my nigga Rewan with me.
but that was my niggas, it'll be an honor.
You know what I'm saying?
Under commanding General Your Honor. That for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Look, hey, straight off the top, I love all of my niggas. That shit ain't gon' stop till we on top and we ballin', my nigga. We be fly as fuck, you know them bitches be stalking my niggas. That shit'll never change and it's the same with all my niggas. City to city, I should be at home. That's what my ribs say. But bitch, I'm grown, I'm in these streets and closed caption. Niggas know we bout that action. If a nigga play with me, then my I can gon' let him have it. Hey, think you the shit, this truth the shit. Nigga play, I let that Ruger hit. Get on them tracks, they be like, who is this? I'm rude with it. Ain't got no manners, all them pussy niggas talking shit. Yeah, I know they can't stand us, but we UPK Louisiana, bitch, that's what I'm reppin'. And my niggas solid number, real ones in my section. If you wanna get down, put your boots on, start stepping. Brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood I lay my life down right now for all my sisters and brothers, because I love them. I see them dapping and hug them. It's amazing to see how well we adapt from the struggle. Born again from a life of sin, trapped in the gutter. My mind frame was to kill my own kind. Feeling inferior, waking up ready to die. Run with them killers, so it's just a matter of time. For why take your life or let you take mine? That's when I realized the slaves killing slaves while the white man live to get old. We in them graves, and shit got me feeling played. I opened the Bible, went through them records, found out we was royalty, a nation to be respected. But in this world we rejected, we hated for our complexion. Still fighting to get accepted. We hear the truth and reject it, but love is getting corrected. And all my niggas correct me. The commandments, the foundation we erected. Brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. Hey, hey. Hey, hey.
Mic check, mic check. Salakia, give me 1 second. Yeah, all right, Shalom, Yahaba, Shim Yahshua, Brakathum, and all the brothers. Salaki. Shalom, Yahaba, Shim Yahshua, Brakathum, and all the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh, Shemar Latam, Shim Yahshua, all the sisters. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. It's the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class. Go ahead, clap it up. We've been teaching the truth to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans about their culture and identity stolen from us by our oppressor since 1969. You know what I mean? Again, it's the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class where we teach where we select it. We teach our people our language from a linguistic, or we teach the scriptures from a linguistics perspective. All right, so we teach the language, we dig into the scriptures, and we dig into the authentic the Hebrew, the Lashon Kodash, and we break it down in the scriptures, not only in the English but in the Hebrew as well. All right. Tomorrow we're gonna be doing the Sabbath service where we read the Lashon Kodash. We read the scriptures from Genesis to I believe we read the whole Old Testament, which was written in Hebrew. We read that in the Hebrew, and then we go back and read it and translate it into English, and we break it down. All right. Friday night Lashawan Kodash class is kind of a preparation for that. So we kind of go in reverse order. So we'll read it in the English so that we can we can kind of get an idea of the type of words or the type of vocabulary we're gonna see, and then we read it in the English. So with that being said, from the past couple classes that we've been doing in Killeen, Texas, you should probably have a decent amount of notes. You should go through those notes and prepare for just have your notes on hand and prepare for what you're gonna run into. All right. So we already know these phrases that we're gonna get into. These phrases that we're going to get into in the Lashon Kodash is made up of prepositions, possessives, a root word, and tenses. Those are the four steps that you're going to want to take when you're breaking these things down. Again, as we always remind brothers and sisters, it's not in any necessary order, and it's not necessarily going to be all of them all at once. So you might see a phrase that just has a one or two prepositions and a root word. You might see a root word that has a possessive attached at the end, or you might just see a root word with a tense in the middle, or you might see a combination of all four, or any mix and match of uh, any of those four steps. But what you want to do is be aware of any of those. You want to be aware of those four steps. All right. So we gonna get right into it. Baba Kashaf, if I could, sir, if I could just get a scripture right quick. Go to Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. And this is something that you want to understand. Again, I'm gonna reiterate, we've been teaching the truth since 1969, right? You know, originated as 125th Street, Harlem, New York, right? Now, if you see, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of confusion of what's the real Hebrew because you got your oppressor bastardizing our language, the small hats, you know what I mean, who wear our culture, try to, you know what I'm saying, turned our language into Yiddish, try to wear our culture and try to claim that they're the true chosen people of the Most High God, right? And then you got after 1969, where the ISUPK was established, you got all these Christian Israelite groups because that's all they are. They just Christians because their mindset and their ideology comes from the Christian church, right? The fact that they tweak and change what the Most High and Christ laid down, you know what I'm saying? They tweak and change the law, statutes, and commandments and the order and the laws that we were given so that they can appease certain groups, right? That's a Christian mindset. But these Christian Israelite groups, I mean, they might, you got some groups that speak Yiddish. You got some groups that take away the Hebrew altogether. Well, what you want to do to take away that confusion is very simple, and it's in this scripture right here. You got that, sir?
God. 6 and 16 or 16 and 6?
6 and 16. Let me double check that real quick. Start with stand in the way.
I said, Lord, stand ye in the way.
That's the one.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, verse 16. Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein.
So this is how you weed out all the filth. You know what I mean? You might be new to the truth, or you might have just discovered that you're an Israelite, right? So you trying to figure out what's the next step, right? You want to be an individualite. What group should you join? You think it's all the same looking from the outside in, but in the reality, you know what I'm saying, and in history and through, you know what I'm saying, through these scriptures, there's only been one. There's always only been one. And with that being said, you don't want to fall in the hands of somebody or some group or some organization that's gonna in the end destroy you. And you don't want to, you know what I mean, fall into hand. You don't want to you know what I mean, take matters into your own hand and decide that you're gonna just teach yourself, because the scriptures also say before you can teach you have to be taught. You know what I mean? But if you by yourself grading your own paper, who's teaching you? And how are you being taught? How are you growing? Right? But the way that you're going to find the truth and the way that you're going to know that you're in the right place is, Baba, could I read that again, sir?
Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways, and see, and ask for the old paths.
So stand in the ways and see all the different paths that you could go down. So you got Kemet, you got all these different religions, you got Egyptology and Muslim, and you got all these fake Israelite groups that you could partake in. You got being an individualite, you got going to the Jewish synagogues and it's like the new small hat. You can go into any of these organizations, right? But stand in the way and see. Go ahead, read on, Baba Kashah.
And ask for the old paths.
And ask for the old paths. And that's where you make the division. That's where you find out where the real is at. Like, where is the old path? How do we do things in the beginning? See, a lot of times we look at all these you know what I mean? We look at all these different groups and we look for, well, what's the newest thing out there? What's the hottest trend out there? What's the most popular? Who got the most members? Who got the most popularity? You know what I mean? Who makes me feel the best, right? Who do I like the best? But that's if you choosing like that, then you don't know how to choose, man. Because the scripture just said, ask for the old way. Meaning, what were we doing in the beginning? Well, before 1969, us knowing that we were Israelites. You had your hand up? Okay, no sweat. Us knowing that we was Israelite, we didn't know that we was Israelites until 1969, where you know what I mean, the seven heads established the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, before then, we didn't know that. You know what I mean? You got certain revolutions. You got Nat Turner and revolutions like that, where they picked up the Bible and then read that you know what I mean, we was the Israelites and that the Christian church was lying to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans about our culture and identity. But then, you know what I mean, they were just taking up arms and just going on a killing spree. Or Salakia, they was taking the lives of our oppressor, you know what I mean, in a spree. You know what I mean, which was not necessarily which wasn't the correct way to go about that, according to the scriptures, man, according to our culture. But until 1969, we was in the dark. But you know what I mean, fast forward after 1969, you got all these Christian Israelite groups popping up, breaking off, and starting their own thing. Well, what you don't realize is all these Christian Israelite groups got their understanding that we were Israelites from The ISUPK started in 1969. Now imagine that. Imagine a brother telling you, or imagine a brother being inspired by you, right? And inspired by what you taught him and all of that, and then going to start his own thing, right? Now you got two different groups. Well, now we can't work together now we can't bring our nation together, because that's the whole point, right? Is to bring a nation together, to bring our people together so that we can learn our culture and identity so we can get out of this hell. But, Conser, you
real quick, it's just heavy because, just, think, when Moses, was leading the children of Israel and the Lord put him in charge, Moses gathered all, 12 tribes and said, hey, I don't, whoever don't want to follow me, you know what I'm saying? Well, when he asked who was going to follow him, the Levites stood up, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And said they were going to follow Moses. And he said, okay, well, anybody don't want to follow me, kill them. The Levites killed everybody. And just imagine, kind of put that in perspective today. You know what I'm saying? The Lord put the truth in 1 West, 125th Street, you know what I'm saying? The ISUPK. Just imagine, you know what I'm saying, if we was like, hey, imagine if the Lord was like, hey, anybody don't want to follow this, you know what I'm saying? Y'all unalive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not one of those things, you know what I'm saying, where you can just pick it up and get your own understanding and create all these groups and it'd be the truth.
Right.
It wasn't that way back then and it won't be that way now.
Right.
The Lord chose one man to lead that nation of Israel. And the Lord chose a man to lead the nation of Israel this day. You understand? And that's why all, camps need to come together under commanding General Yohana, because the Lord is not starting something and then just say, well, everybody, y'all can go start your own group. The Lord put something there and he put a man in charge. Well, that man is responsible and that man is in charge. And that's commanding General Yohana and Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge.
Damn right, sir. Now that's absolutely correct and heavy. Like, because right now, like you just said, like we got the game twisted. Like you think that it's a noble and righteous thing to do, to be educated and inspired by a brother who the Lord chose to lead Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans under the authority of the Most High in Christ, and then you start your own thing, and now you got two groups, and what, we supposed to join you? After you got everything that you learned from Commanding General Yohana and the men before him who raised him up, right. You got everything that you know from him, and now what, we supposed to drop everything and join to you? That it don't work like that. It don't work like that. Like the priest just said, the Most High established. He's always dealt with one man, and he's always dealt with one man to be a leader. Anybody, like Christ said, anybody who wouldn't have Christ to rule over him, slay him before me. Salaki, you have more?
Yeah, real quick. And it's just heavy, like what you was bringing out, how all these other, fake Israelite groups are Christians. Because that's exactly what Christians do. If they don't want to follow something that's not in line with what they believe and what they want to do, they're going to go over here,
right.
To where it conforms, to, allow them to do whatever wickedness they want to do, and they can still be under that guise or be up under that umbrella of acting righteous acting righteous. You know what I'm saying? Because in here, like I said, you got to change.
Right.
You can't do what you want to do. You got to do what the Lord say here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And again, like you were saying, the fake Israelite groups is Christian because they can go over here because Christianity lets you do whatever you want to do and still call yourself a child of God.
Right. You can't the water, sir. And that's so heavy because, like, that's why we brought up that scripture in Jeremiah, because if you're not in one body and you decide that you don't want to follow after this one body established in 1969, then all you're doing is recreating the Christian church that you left in the first place. But you're recreating it under the guise of, like the priest just said, under the guise of being an Israelite. But you tweaking it like the Christian church. Like the Christian church got all these denominations and all these different factions of Christianity. You know what I mean? You're doing the same thing in the so-called Israelite community. And I bring that up because, like, there is no Israelite community. There is only one West. There's only the ISUPK started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. But because brothers and sisters lack discipline, we leave and we go start our own thing. And now there's Now you got brothers and sisters who are actually sincere and actually trying to find some sort of safe haven to be able to learn their culture and identity under one roof. And now they looking at a whole community of, you know what I'm saying, of trash, and they got to find a needle in the haystack amongst all this trash. You know what I mean? That's the result of looking at all these different ways. Like it says in Jeremiah, it says stand in the ways, meaning there are so many different directions that you could go. But the path that you should ask for, and that word in Hebrew is sha'al, which means demand. So you looking at all these ways, but the path that you should actually go down, the path that you should demand is the old ways, the old path, which is the good way. Right? And that's no different, man. It's no different with this Hebrew. You know what I mean? Because this is our original culture and our language. You know what I mean? We sitting there and that's another thing that divides Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know what I mean? Just our language, to where we looking at we got so-called Black people looking at our Hispanic brothers and sisters and looking down on them, or looking like they not even our brothers or sisters, because we feel like they got their own language, they got their own countries, but they in the same boat we in. You know what I mean? We called Americans African Americans, named after two continents. You got the Venezuelans named after a whole nother landmass that's been conquered by a whole nother oppressor. You got all these other nations, you know what I'm saying, the language that they speak as well comes after, you know what I'm saying, Spanish comes after the Spaniards who conquered them. So they're in the same boat that we in. Same with the so-called Benjamites, the so-called Haitians, the Levites, the what's the Salakia, the West Indians. You know what I mean? Same with them. The language they speak, it comes from our oppressor, right? But this is the old way. The Hebrew that we going over in class, Salaki. Let me share my screen while I'm talking. But the language that we go over every Friday night during Lashawan Qadash class is the old way, and that's our language before our oppressor stole us and beat their language and their culture and their identity into us, and then put on ours. So that's why it's so important, man. That's so important for you to lock in, because it's time for us. Like right now, as you see, you know what I'm saying, not to get too, I don't want to get too far off topic, but as you see in the world, like you see times is winding up. You know what I mean? Your oppressor, you seeing all these nations, these oppressors nations rising up against one another. You know what I mean? This is one of the signs and the precursors that Christ was talking about before, you know what I mean, before he sent back to redeem Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans from our captivity. You know what I mean? So right now it's time for us to lock in. And a big part of gaining your culture and identity back as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans is your language. All right. So that's why we do this every Friday night. Make sure you got your notes. Make sure you got your learning utensils. Make sure you if you got any Lashawan Qadash related questions or comments, you go ahead and put them in the chat. Or if you're in class, go ahead and raise your hand. Make sure you got your we're gonna be reading out a Bible Hub today. All right, as we're gonna do tomorrow during a Sabbath service. So make sure you got that on hand. And that's, you had something, sir?
Yeah, I just really wanted to say something real quick. Our oppressor has gone to great lengths, to hide the identity, of Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. And Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans should be really, really curious to why.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They have went to these great lengths, to hide who we are as a people. So when they see us or when they hear us saying these crazy things, it would really behoove us, to start to, search back for our culture,
right,
our language. Like our language is called the Holy Tongue. You understand? And we don't even consider these things. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, our presidents went to great lengths to hide all of this stuff from us. So, being Black, Hispanic, and Native American, it would behoove them, to see why, they went to these great lengths to hide our culture from us.
Right. Now, sir, and if I could just add to that, Like, not only do they hide our culture and our identity from us, but they once they tell you that you ain't nothing but I can't say that. Once they say that you just some African American, you some so called Negro, you all these bywords and slurs that they call us, then they put on your culture. So that furthermore should prompt you to be curious, to be like, why? Okay, so if and then further and it's so heavy because that's what inspired the seven heads. Like they went to go if I'm not mistaken, they went to go and study in the synagogue, and then they was reading it. They reading all this information, but they reading in the scripture, and they like, hold up, I see y'all doing all this, that, and the third. Y'all following after the so-called the Torah, but these people and these conditions and these curses that's in Deuteronomy 28, they don't describe you at all. They describe us. So what is it about our culture that makes you not only want to go through, like the priest said, go through great lengths to convince us that we're absolutely nothing, but then put on the culture that you stole from us? And that's why we do what we do in the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, man. Right now, it's time to lock in, man. We're going to get right into this language. So again, to reiterate, Friday night, we go into the Bible Hub like we do on Saturday, Sabbath service. We kind of do a little breakdown, just kind of preview what we're going to be looking at during Sabbath service so that we a little bit more prepared. All right. So this class is very important. Also, it gives us an opportunity to apply what we already have learned and accumulated over the past couple months of being in Lashawan, Qadash, and holding Lashawan, Qadash, in Killeen, Texas. All right. So in the past, we've done different. We've kind of done our Lashawan Qadash curriculum and categories. Last week, I believe the priest went over the body parts, and he went over the what's it called, the pictographs. Those are excellent tools because all of those things, the like we went over last week, the pictographs, the body parts, the let me see, the prepositions, the possessives, the different tenses, going over the breakdowns of the prayers. Leviticus 23, just all of the different breakdowns that we went over in the past, getting all of those, accumulating all of those lessons together, those will give you sight words, meaning words that you'll be able to, as you're reading through Sabbath service, you'll be able to just read these words off the top of your head. Like you'll see them, and that's why we're going to break it down into English. We're going to read it into English, but once you read them in the English, you'll see these words in the English, and then you'll automatically, off the top of your head, oh, I know what this word is. Oh, I know what this word is in the Hebrew. I know what this word is in the Hebrew. And when you read it in the Lashawan Qadash, you won't have to stutter or have to pause as often or be unsure because you know these words because of the past class we've been doing. You know what I mean? So the more classes, the more of those particular lessons that you get into and take notes on, the more you're reading the scriptures or the more you get curious. That's really a better tool, just curiosity. Curiosity is the best tool for you to learn the Lashawan Qadash. Another lesson that we went over in the past was Kama Amar, right? Which in Hebrew is how to say, right? Like Kama meaning how or like what. And then Amar or La Amar, to say. Kama La Amar. You can just ask how to say this. Like in Spanish, you got como se dice, or you know what I mean. You got in your different languages when you're learning the language, the most important question that you can ask is how to say this, how to say this, how to say this, how to say this, right? And you see it during scripture breakdown class. General Mahyman, you know what I mean. He'll practice his Spanish during the beginning and the end of class. You know what I mean. And how do you think that he learned Spanish? How do you think he's learning? He's asking how to say this, or how to say this properly, how to say this in our dialect, right? Because that's another part of it too. I mean, your oppressor has bastardized our language, so they speak a different dialect called Yiddish. You know what I mean? But you want to ask how to say this properly, how to say this in our dialect, right? And how we would say it, right? And then that curiosity is going to help you be able to uh, uh, catapult forward in your understanding of Lashawan Qadash. And it's very easy. Just a reminder, the Lashawan Qadash is extremely easy to understand because it's our language. You know what I mean? And we're gonna get some of those nuances as we go through the Lashawan Qadash tonight of you know what I mean, how we know that this is our language. You know what I mean, and our culture and how we speak. You know what I mean? How we speak every other language, how we speak our oppressor's language. That's exactly how we speak, or how the Lashawan Qadash is naturally written. You know what I mean? But yeah, if you got any questions, go ahead, put them in the chat. We're gonna get right into it. All right. So I think last week during Sabbath service, we left off in Genesis chapter 26, and I think the last scripture we read was in verse 11. All right. We're gonna read.
So, can you repeat that chapter, right?
Genesis chapter 26 and then verse 11. We gonna I believe that's the last verse we started in. Tomorrow we're gonna be starting in verse 12. All right, and then we're gonna read from we're gonna read as much as we can cover, I'm assuming, until you know what I'm saying the class is over. But would you mind just reading that verse 11 in English real quick, sir?
So warned Amalek. So let me go to And Amalek charged all his people, saying, Salaki, you want me to read it from Bible Hub, like it is right there, or you want me to read it, you know what I'm saying, from KJV?
Live, sir, just from the KJV.
All right. And Amalek charged all his people, saying, He that toucheth this man or his wife shall surely be put to death.
So in this verse right here, and this is why we because again in Sabbath service we read it in the Lashawan Qadash, and then we go back and read it in the English, and then we break it down. But Friday, this is the Lashawan Qadash, and we get deep into the language so that we can ask your questions, so that we prepare for Saturday, so that we can read and know what we're reading. All right, so once you read it in English, you'll be able to pick out all the sight words or all the words that you already know in the Lashawan Qadash. All right. So off the top, we got it's to reiterate, and Abimelech charged all his people, saying, "He that touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." All right. Now, certain places you might find more sight words than others, but that's how you build your vocabulary. When you see less sight words than you used to, then you can just do that research. Like, okay, well, I don't recognize any of these words, or I recognize only maybe one or two of these words. Then that's where it's like it. Then that's where you just dig into it. That's where you just find out, right? And that's where you learn how to use these resources. We've went over a couple classes in the past of how to use these resources as well. Again, if you're having trouble using any of the resources, make sure. If you're having trouble using any of these resources, you can just ask and we'll get you up to speed. But in this verse right here, we got an Abimelech, right? So off the rip, verse 11, it starts with and, right? You already know. And when you see and in the scriptures, you already know you're going to see the prefix or the preposition why, right? That's the character that represents and when it's attached to the beginning of a root word, right? So, and if you just to also when you know that something's being done, or when you know that something's being done, or let me see how I can say this. And like when you see certain things like, and he said, and he did, and he charged, and he wrote, and he ran, things like that, you know that you're gonna nine times out of 10 see that prefix waya together, waya and he, because wa is means and ya at the beginning of a root word means he. All right. So just off the top of your head, I'm just giving you examples of what you should be looking for before you read the Lashawan Qadash. Right. Just looking for these sight words. All right. So when you see that and, just know you're going to see wa. 9 times out of 10, you're going to see waya, meaning and he. Abimelech, that's your that's the who we're talking about, right? So that's why I said that waya is going to be there, because we're saying somebody's doing something. All right. Charged, you may or may not know that word. All, we already know all is called, right? His people, he or his is a preposition that you'll see at the end, or it's like a possessive that you'll see at the end of a root word, uh, which is why. Now remember, at the beginning, when you see why at the beginning of a root word, it means and. When you see why at the end of a root word, it means he or his. It's a very important thing to be able to lock in and lock down in your memory. You know what I mean? You should have it somewhere in your notes. What I've recommended in the past is to just have a glossary, or it's like an index, so to speak, to like in the beginning or the end of your notebook. Maybe like a quick reference note sheet. You know what I mean? Because as we go through these deeper subject matters, you know what I mean? We go deep into these specific subject matters. You know what I mean? You're gonna have, before you know it, you're gonna have a notebook full of notes. And if you're trying to recall a certain thing, you don't want to be flipping through a whole page of notes, or a whole bunch of, you know what I mean? You don't want to be flipping through a whole bunch of notes. So like you. Let me figure this out real quick. No sweat. But you don't want to be flipping through. You don't want to be flipping through a whole bunch of notes. So what I would recommend is for you to have those, especially those 4 steps, your prepositions, your possessives, your root, your tense, those having those 4 steps on that sheet, your prepositions and your possessives in a list, and you know what I mean, just little things that you're gonna need to quickly reference just to refresh your memory. The Lashawan Qadash alphabet, you're gonna need that on that as well. But that's just what I recommend. But Salaki, where is we at? And okay, so that wa again. So it says, and charge all his people. So call is all his people, right? So at the end of 9 times out of 10, at the end of the word people, you're gonna see that wa at the end, meaning he, his, or it. In this case, it means his, right? People is I'm, right? I'm, right? We see you might see that often as you read through the scriptures. You know what I mean? Because the Lord is dealing with us as a people. You know what I mean? You might see that a lot of times throughout the scriptures, for one reason or another. But it's not something that we went through specifically. So if you don't know it off the top of your head, that's fine. But just so you know, that's just I'm. So as we read through in the Hebrew, which we're gonna do in here in a second, you should be looking for that word, I'm, which is the Hebrew character I and ma next to each other. You pronounce it together, I'm, right? So his people will be I'm wa, right? Saying, right? We know to say is amar, right? So in this context, it'll be la amar, or to say, right? Because whenever you read, especially in Leviticus 23, whenever you see, and the Most High spake unto Israel, saying, when you see the word saying, it's depicted as la amar, or to say, all right? So as you read it in English, this is where your mind should go. Again, this is just an example of how, like, what you should be up until this point, going through all the lessons, you know what I mean, that we went through in Killeen alone, you know what I mean? just keeping those in mind, this is how your mind should ideally work when you're reading it in the English and then you go into the Hebrew. You should be automatically just thinking these things just from past classes. So saying la amar, or to say. He, right? We just talked about he, which is okay, so he, if it's not a preposition or or if it's not depicted as a preposition or a possessive, um, it'll be hawa'ah. So he in the Hebrew is hawa'ah, right? That we'll get to that in a second. That could be depicted in a couple different ways. You got hazah, you got shalaki. It's a couple different ways that you could depict that, uh, depending on the context. But we're gonna get into that. We just gonna get it. We're gonna wait until we get into the Hebrew to touch on that. He that touches this man, right? Man, we already know is Ayash, right? So you should be looking out for Ayash when we get to this point in this verse. Or his wife, right? Wife is the same word as woman, which is Asha, right? Asha. Now we got his in front of wife. So when you say his wife is Asha wa, because wa at the end of a root word is he, his, or it. Shall surely be put to death. All right. So just skimming through it, those are the sight words that you could possibly see. Now, a lot of times, because there's a couple different words that you could use to say the same word, and there's a couple different Hebrew words that you could use to say the same word in English. You may or may not see these what's it called? These words that I just said, but it's a good thing. It's good for you to just have it on your brain that you may see these things, and then when you see something different, then you can, you know what I mean, you can add that to your notes or figure out. You can that could be a question that you ask, like why is it this here and this here, you know what I mean? Or you can observe the different places, like okay, it was this here, why was it this here? What does this mean? Look up the concordance code. Follow the concordance code in your concordance, right? Or your whatever resource you got. You should have your Hebrew to English dictionary with concordance. You should have your physical concordance, like we got, like I got right here. It's a couple different resources that you could have on your phone or physically that's tangible. But once you see these differences or you see these nuances throughout the scriptures, it should provoke questions like, okay, well, what is this? What is this? Why is this say this here? Why is this worded like this here? Right? And that's how you grow your vocabulary. And in turn, next time we get into the Lashawan Qadash, you'll be able to point out these sight words. You'll get more sight words. And as you see the scriptures in the Hebrew, you'll be more familiar, right? And then you'll have more to expound on as you're explaining or teaching the Hebrew to somebody else. You have more to expound on, right? So we're gonna get into the now we just broke down the English. We kind of went over what we should suspect to see in the Hebrew. Now let's see what we actually got here. All right. So we got let me get my phone. Bear with me, Salakia. And also while I'm getting with y'all, while I'm catching up, a big you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The Lashawan Kodash is a language, right? So we're reading the language. You want to learn how to write the language, and you want to learn how to speak it, right? A language is spoken, written, and read, right? All of these components of this language is important. So, I mean, it's one thing to write the language, learn how to write it, but you also want to practice reading it. You know what I'm saying? Reading it to yourself, reading it out loud. And then once you read it out loud, then you're speaking the language, right? But if you're missing one or two of these components, you just focused on writing it, but you're not speaking it or reading it, then you're gonna find yourself where you think you're prepared because you know how to write the characters or you know how to write phrases. You get into the Sabbath service, you're gonna find that you're very uncomfortable because you haven't practiced vocalizing your language. You know what I mean? And speaking the language is very different than reading or writing it. That's why your oppressor bastardized your language. That's why they went and you know what I mean, the biblical Hebrew workbook and textbook, which we also have here as well, which you should also have. On page 3, it says that the original Hebrew had no vowels, right? But what they went and did, since they had their they had their European tongue, what they did was add what they call the gesh, which is like dashes, a system of dashes and dots underneath certain characters, so that they can add their vowels into a language that didn't have vowels, which is why they say shalom instead of shalom, which is also why these fake Israelite groups say shalom instead of shalom, because of what your oppressor did to their language, because they're not used to speaking our language like we are. You know what I mean? Abba Gada Hawazar just rolls off the tongue. You know what I mean? The Lashawan Qadash alphabet just rolls off the tongue. The way we speak just rolls off the tongue. Whereas they'll say something like, just for an example, they'll say, "What are you doing today?" We'll say, "What you doing?" Or, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. That's just how we speak, right? But, you know what I mean? That's just certain things are, you know what I'm saying? Our languages is comfortable, so comfortable to us to where now, even though your oppressor beat their language into to us, you know what I mean? We speak their language as you know what I'm saying, like how we would speak our own language, how we speak the Hebrew. And the sitting is right here. And we're gonna get into how the sentences are structured as well. You know what I mean? And prove further that this is our language. But that just, you know what I'm saying, just it just goes to show how important it is for you to actually speak the language as well. Because, you know what I mean, because you already know, because your oppressor couldn't speak our language, he had to bastardize our language, which is why he speaks Yiddish. All right. Well, we're gonna read this Hebrew real quick. So you got so we got Wayat Tazawa Abayam Abayamalak Ath Kal Ha'aim La'amar Hanagai Ba'ayash Hazah Waba Ashathwa Mawath Ya Wamath. All right. So we're gonna break this down phrase by phrase real quick, like we did in the English. Like we talked about what we should suspect to see. Like we talked about what we should suspect to see. We're gonna go through line by line. That's why I should have a bunch of notes. Okay, I see you, brother. If you got any questions, you know what I mean, or how to you know what I mean, I think we kind of touched on it. And Salakia, I ain't been looking at the chat, but I just started. So if you're still in the chat, if you got any questions on kind of how to organize that, I kind of touched on the cheat sheet or the quick reference notes that you could have in the beginning of your notes. So there's certain things that you're gonna have to reference often. The Lashawan Qadash alphabet, prepositions, possessives, things like that. That you could add to a quick reference note sheet that you could have at the beginning or the end of your notes. But if you need any additional tips or anything like that, feel free to put it in the chat. Hey, Yavish Katha, young man, I see you, brother. Uh, Let's see. So we're gonna go line upon line. If you got any questions as we going through it, feel free to ask. Now is the time. All right. So the first phrase is Waya Kazawa. All right. Now remember, as we was reading in the English, I said when you see anything like and he said and he did and he spoke and So you might, in a lot of cases, you might just see he, right? And he said, and he did, and he spoke. You might see a proper noun, like they say in English, or like a name, right? So you say, and in this case, it's a name there. So, and Abimelech said, and then Abimelech did, and Abimelech, you know what I mean, spoke, read, things like that. When you see that, you're gonna 9 times out of 10 see this prefix waya, right? This is because of what's called a qual stem, right? This is just a word used in its simplest form, right? So you when you see the root word attached to waya, you're gonna see the root word is in its simplest form, in its simplest usage. So it's not any in any emphasized tense like or it's not in any what's it called, like any past presence or future tense or anything like that. It's not used in any, it's used in the simplest form. That's the best way I could explain it to you. So it's just and he, and in the English we read warned, right? So now we know that waya is and he, right? You'll see that a lot, right? Most often. Again, also this is the most commonly used stem. Now you got, I believe it's six other stems, or I think it's six in total. I would have to go back and refresh, but there's six other ones. But the most commonly used stem is the qual stem, which was going to be indicated by the waya, and then it's followed by the root word used in the simplest form. So the root word here is tazawa, right? Now, if you ever, just a rule of thumb, you know what I mean, especially if you're using Bible Hub, you want to, if you're not familiar with a root word, or if you're not familiar with, you know what I'm saying, whatever it is, uh, you can always click on this concordance code. Like you see me hovering here. If you're using your phone, you're going to have to click on it and get all these details that you see hovering here. But as I'm hovering over the concordance code, it's giving you the Strong's Hebrew concordance code, the different synonyms of the word, the different usages: to command, to charge, to give orders, to lay charge, to give charge to, order, right? And all the different stems and the different stems and different usages, right? Like we talked about Salakia. Let me see. Use an example. Well, I'm gonna leave that alone for another lesson. But it'll give you all that information. Just you know what I mean, let's click on that and we're gonna see all the information I'm talking about here. Right? So you got tazawa, verb to mean to lay charge upon, to give charge, to command or order, right? So this is just to give a little context. In Genesis chapter 26, verse 11, Abimelech is basically saying to his people, if any man, like we read in English, if any man touch this brother, I believe we're talking about Isaac in this chapter, but if any man puts forth their hand to harm or to challenge Isaac in any way, then their life will be taken. All right. So the word is warned, right? The word is warned that we're using in English, but the spirit behind this word is, like we just clicked on it, it said command. So Abimelech, and we're going to find out what Abimelech means, but Abimelech is a king. He's a ruler of a nation. And he's given an order. He's like, if anybody touch this brother, then they gonna deeply regret it. I'm gonna just say that. But the word that's being used in English is warned, but the word is command. Now there's a right now if you go into your concordance and you look up the word warned, it'll give you a couple different words. I think I just looked this up a second ago. It just slipped my mind. But there's another word for warned, but it means to be like a light, like a lighthouse. Like a lighthouse is in the middle of a ocean to warn ships of like oncoming obstacles or other ships, things like that. Things like that. Uh, but that's a different context of the word warn. In this case, this is talking about command. Like Abimelech is giving you like how you will warn your children. Like, look, if you do this, I'm gonna whoop your behind. How you will warn your children. That's not it's a warning, but you're commanding your child. And if you don't follow that commandment, then the punishment comes. Much like how the Most High warned us in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and several other instances, but he was really commanding us. It's in that same context. But Salakia, moving on. We got Abba Yamalak, right? This is Abimelech's name, right? Let's click on that concordance code real quick, and it'll tell you right here, Abimelech, a Philistine name, and also an Israelite name. So this is in this context, this is the name of the Philistine king Abimelech, right? Which we're reading about in this chapter. But Abimelech, and let's break this down, because this got this got two sight words in it. And this is another thing. This is why sight words are so important as well, because as you're reading through the Lashawan Qadash, like when you're reading names in English, because we went through so many captivities, because we were under so many different nations, and we had our records written in so many different languages. When we translate the names into English, a lot of times what we see in the scriptures is it's not pronounced like how you would pronounce it in the Hebrew. So instead of Abba Yamalak, it's Abimelech, right? But reading it in your language, you get those key words or phrases that's in the name that gives the spirit of the name. Like, you know what I'm saying? In our culture, when we give, like if you read through Genesis, when you read through Genesis and you see, especially when Isaac started having his children and he had his 4 wives, and they pretty much they battling for his favor and attention, right? So they having children, and they're naming their children after the attributes or what they would like to have from their son. Like for example, like Isaac himself, just to give an example, Isaac is named, which is Yatazak in the Hebrew. Isaac is named Isaac because when Sarah had Isaac, she was given a prophecy that she would have a son in her old age. And when she heard that, she laughed, right? And then years later, she had Isaac, and she named him Yatazak, which means laugh, because the whole prophecy and the whole concept made her laugh that she had a child. She actually did bear a child in her old age. But I bring that up to say that each, these words that you see, and especially in the name, these words that you'll see in the name, they can be broken down further to where you might see these words also just used in a general context. Like, and I'll give you an example with Abimelech. So Abba Yamalak, right? So Abba means father. You know from the lesson, or Salaki, you know from the Lord's Prayer, right? Abba Nawa, Shabbat Shemayim Qadash Hayashim Ka, right? Abba Nawa means our father, right? Right? Abba Raham, father of many nations, right? Whenever you see Abba, it means father, right? Anytime you look in the scriptures, you see Abba, it means father, right? So Abba, and then you got Malak. Malak is another root word in this ruler's name, which means king, right? We just clicked on the concordance code, and it says father is king, or he's the king of father, or it's like he's the father of kings, right? But you see these, you know what I'm saying? You see it in the English. You see it in English, you won't notice these root words, or you won't see these sight words. But if you read it in the Lashawan Qadash, then you start to see our language come alive in these scriptures, and it'll help you get a better understanding of. It'll give you a better understanding of the scriptures, right? The next part, this off right here, you want to remember because you're going to see it often. This off is just it's a conjunction. Just like, again, we're going to click on the concordance code and you're going to notice like how we've been clicking on the last concordance code, it'll give you the definition, right? It'll give you the whole definition of the word, right? And the whole breakdown. But this word right here, off, it doesn't have a translation. It says untranslatable mark of the accusative, right? So this is just a word that connects a subject with the context of the scriptures. So you'll see this a lot of times. So off in between, like, so it's going to connect the subject, which is Abimelech, Abba Yamalak, to what to who he's speaking to or what he's doing, right? So he's warning who. Now, the next word, call, like we talked about earlier, call is all. It's always going to be that. All right. I haven't seen anything different, but if you see anything different regarding the word all, you can always, bring that to class. But as far as I've seen, it's not ever been anything different. All right. Call, ha'im, right? The next phrase is ha'im. Now, again, we talked about earlier, I'm is people, right? I'm is people. All right. So his people is or the people, right? Ha'im, right? The people. All right. So before we talked about you might see I'm wa, right? Which is, depending on the context, depending on the intention or the usage, you might see possessive at the end, meaning he or his or it, right? But in this context, we got the people, right? And the people that Abimelech is talking to is his people that he rules over, right? Saying, right? This is what we talked about before. Saying is, or to say means amar, or amar means say, right? Which is what you see I got highlighted up here. Amar. Ma and ra means say. You put a la in front of it. That la in the beginning is a preposition that means to say or to. So you put it together, la amar, to say. All right. All right. You got Hanagai, Salakia. Is this? Can I skip something? Salakia. You got Hanagai, right? So just like we saw earlier in Ha'im, that Ha means the. So logically, we can assume that this Ha right here also means the, which leaves this three character root word, which is Nagai. Nagai just means to touch, right? Or to strike, right? Let's click on that concordance code real quick. Nagai, to touch, to reach, to strike, all right? So Ha Nagai, right? So Abimelech is warning his people or commanding his people, hey, anybody who touches this man. And that goes to show how we speak as well. That's just another example of how we speak. Like you know what I'm saying, you might have some beef, you know what I mean, in the streets if you're in the world. Or like, you know what I'm saying, what we say in the truth, cross the line, right? If you touch any of my brothers, right? If you touch any of my brothers, it's up, right? We might say that to somebody. You know what I'm saying? You touch me, then it's up. You know what I mean? You're gonna have some problems, right? But do we mean literally touch? Like if somebody say I dare you to touch me or something like that, are we talking about like a, you know what I mean, like a physical touch? 9 times out of 10, when we say that in English, or we say that in any other of these oppressive languages, 9 times out of 10 we mean it in an aggressive manner. So when we say in touch, we mean, like we just saw here, we mean if you dare to attack or to strike or to try to commit a violent act against a brother or against one of my brothers or myself or whatever the case is or whatever you're defending, right? So that's just how we speak. So if a brother say, touch me if you want to, he's daring you to get violent. And if you get violent, then, you know what I'm saying, Lord be with you. But that's the same context that it's used in right here. So so Abimelech is saying, if any man touch Isaac and his or his wife, he's saying, if you dare put your hand to him to commit any harm or any offense to this brother, right? So that's the spirit behind this word that's used right here. All right. Now the next word we got ba ayash. All right. Now we already talked about ayash is one of the sight words that we broke down earlier. So ayash is a sight word that means man. It's ya, and sha. Put it together, ayash. All right. So now we know that's the root word. Now you get to you isolate that preposition right here, or this character right here. You know what I mean? If you've been studying, you got your notes, you got your the order of how prepositions, root words, possessives, and tenses fall. You know that this character before the root word is a preposition, and if you got your prepositions written down in your notes, you know that this preposition, you know that ba means in or on, right? So ba ayash, touch on this man, right? Or to, like we just talked about, to strike this man, or to put forth your hand to commit any type of harm or danger or offense to this man, right? And then the next word is hazah, right? Hazah is just a root word, or it's just a word that means this, right? This one, here, that, you might see in some cases, such, you know what I'm saying, things like that. And then the next word, we got waba ash. It's like ashatwa, right? So we know this one might be a little, it's this one fully loaded, right? This one fully loaded. It's got a couple prepositions, possessive, it got a tense in there, and it got a root word, right? But just you know what I'm saying, being familiar with these things, it just makes it a lot easier to understand the language, right? So you might see this this big cluster of characters and kind of get discouraged because it's, you know what I mean, it's a lot, right? You know what I'm saying? Where do I pause? Where do I where do I put the inflection? Where do I mean, how do I pronounce this properly to be understood? All right, well, we're gonna bust it down. All right. So we already know reading in the English like we did before, and also sidebar. That's a lot. I can't highlight that. But you'll notice underneath. You'll see the English in red. So if you're reading in the Lashawan, Qadash, and Sabbath service, you haven't had the chance to read the English first, then you can just read. You can just take a peek at the English in red underneath, so that you can get an idea of what we're talking about. And this is a perfect example where this method is useful. You know what I mean, you don't want to do it. You don't want to lean on certain things too much because it doesn't work in your favor all the time, especially when you know what I'm saying, the spotlight is on you and you got to read before the nation. But in certain contexts, if you kind of stuck in a certain place, you can just look down at that English, get the root word that you need, and then boom, you can separate it and then dissect it from there. All right, so that's what we're gonna do right here. So reading in the English, at the bottom it says, or his wife. All right, so we know his wife. You're gonna see the root word wife, which is asha, and then his, which is a possessive at the end, which is going to be wa. All right. So knowing that, now you can come back up to the Hebrew and boom. So now you know asha is wife. So with that, you can now separate. You can compound like, okay, let's go here, right? So you got Asha. Why is this sta here? Well, in past classes, we broke down the tenses, all of the tenses that you'll see in the middle of a word or maybe at the end of a word that affects uh, how a word is used or how a word is pronounced or why it's there. We kind of broke it down a couple months ago. Now we know that this sta at the end is talking about categories, right? Categories, or in some cases it'll be feminization or a servile tense, uh, or you'll see it in categories. In this case, it's categories because we know that Isaac had several wives, right? So you see that that thought at the end is talking about what we would understand as pluralization, right? But depending on the context, it'll be categories. Like for example, in the word Abba, which is father, which we saw earlier in Abimelech's name. Father being Abba is one father, but you know what I mean. If you want to talk about plural, more than one father, well, this ain't the LGBTQ community. You know what I mean? You don't have more than one father. But what you do have is categories of fathers. So when you want to pluralize the word father, you wouldn't add the typical pluralization method, but you would add a tha instead of yum, right? Which is the most common pluralization method. Instead of adding yum, you would add a tha at the end to be, so it'll go from abba to abath, meaning categories of father. So you have your grandfather, great grandfather, you have your forefathers, you have your father, you have your, you know what I mean? Things like that. Those are different categories. And that's what you see in here. All right. So you got abath, right? Or any of his wives, right? So now that leaves us with your preposition, or these two characters at the beginning and a character at the end. The characters at the beginning are prepositions, right? So you got wa and ba. Wa at the beginning just means and. Ba, as we saw in the previous example, is to, or Salaki, on. And then the wa at the end, don't get confused with the wa at the beginning, but the wa at the end means his, right? Which is why you see or his wife, right? But so you got waba ashathwa, right? And that's how you learn. That's how you know where to pause or to use certain inflection or to pronounce it in a certain way. You know what I mean? Separating that root word and then being able to pronounce those prepositions or possessives correctly, right? Because otherwise, if you're just looking at this cluster of characters, you might pronounce it waba asha tawa, right? You know what I mean? That's what a lot of brothers and sisters do in the beginning when you just reading through, just learning the Lashawan Qadash at first. But once you get to understanding once you get to honing in on your prepositions, your possessives, your root words, your tenses, and how they're all used together, then you can know, instead of pronouncing waba ashatawa, you pronounce it waba ashafwa. You pronounce that root word as a, you know what I'm saying, singular. You pronounce it and you connect those last two characters in that root word. So ashaf will be connected. So you got, and then you would just add your prepositions and possessives. Waba ashaf wa, right? So that's how you would do that. And then you just use like you know what I mean? I know if you was in English class in you know what I mean, high school or whatever, they'll say use context clues, right? Well, when you read in the Lashawan Qadash in the Bible Hub, you got a lot of tools that's surrounding the phrases as you breaking it down. So you got your concordance code, and that's another thing too. If you just looking at the Lashawan Qadash and you green to it, you just now looking at it, and this is the first time you've seen it. Well, if you want to isolate that root word, you can just click on that concordance code, and it'll separate your root word from your phrase, or from the prepositions, your possessives, and your tenses. All right, so it gives you asha meaning woman, wife, female, like we just broke down earlier. Woman and wife is the same word, right? So now you know Asha, now you know Asha is the root word. Now you can highlight that and then do what we just did. Like, okay, Asha is the root word. Now you can recognize that as the tense and then add your prepositions and possessives. And then if you see something that you don't recognize, that's where your questions come in. Your questions come from research, right? So, you know what I mean? If you want to figure out, if you want to build your vocabulary, build your, you know what I mean, your understanding and knowledge of the Lashawan Qadash, it comes from just reading. You could take a chapter, you know, not a chapter, Salakia, a verse or two, you know what I mean? Just go through it and you're going to see something that you've never seen before. And then you can ask those questions and then uh, get the understanding. And that's how you build your vocabulary and understanding to where you can ask more complex questions. You can ask more in-depth questions or, you know what I mean, really get your understanding. But it comes from that foundation. You know what I mean? The prepositions, the possessives, the tenses, the root words, those sight words. I also recommend that if you see any new root word as you studying, to write it down as well and have a running list of root words. Might not be something that you want to put in your quick reference notes because as you studying, that list is gonna get long. But I mean that's something that I recommend for you to do to be able to retain the information. All right, the last two we're gonna get up out of here. All right, so we got Salakia, Mawath, Wam, Salakia, Yawamath, Salakia. Good night. All right, so you click on this concordance code, right? Because this wasn't one of the, as we read it over in the English, wasn't one of the sight words that we broke down. All right, so if you ever come across anything like that you don't recognize, it's always good, especially if you're reading on your own, because it's kind of hard to do it during Sabbath service and stay focused and locked in. But if you ever come across a root word that you haven't seen before, then you want to always click on that concordance code and get familiar with it, get used to seeing it. So when you see it again, you can it can become a sight word. And that's where sight words come from. You'll see words over and over and over and over again. So now once you see it, it's just like, oh, I've seen this before. And you'll see that a lot as well when you read it in a chapter and it's a particular subject matter. You'll see that particular word repeat itself because it's within the subject matter. All right. But this word mawaf means to die, right? And Salakia, we are on TikTok, Salakia social media, but that's just what it say. That's just, you know what I'm saying? We just breaking down the definition of the word. I mean, I ain't trying to get flagged. But and also while we since we clicked on a concordance, since we did clicked on a concordance, I want you to just note this right here. The transliteration, right? Like what they would say is muth or muth, right? Phonetics, the phonetic spelling for them, because they, you know what I'm saying, they think that this language is theirs, right? And what they did, again, like it says in the biblical Hebrew workbook and textbook, right? I don't want to pull it out right now. We just we done pulled it out so many times and read the same page. We should be pretty familiar with it. But what they did was add these dashes and lines to add vowels. So in a language that doesn't have vowels in it, only consonants, how do you get the pronunciation muth, where you add a vowel into it? Well, it's because your oppressor bastardizes the language. But just wanted to make a quick note of that, where when they read the language, they just pronounce it totally different. That's why the ancient Hebrew sounds different when we're reading it. It sounds different when we're reading it. It's like when we're reading it than when they read it. All right. So mawat is to die, right? Now the English. Now we're gonna go to the next. So it says what's Yawamath, right? Yawamath, right? This word also has the same root word, which is mawat, right? And again, a lot of times when we add prepositions or possessives, or add prepositions, possessives, tenses, uh, you might see certain characters drop off. You know what I mean? Just because in our culture, when we speak, we get straight to the point, and you know what I mean. We don't want to get tongue tied as we talking. So that's why, again, the example I gave earlier, instead of saying "What are you doing today," we'll say "What you doing." You know what I mean? We'll just get straight to the point, just to, you know what I mean, to cut out all them filler words and filler syllables. You know what I mean? Because we are real militant. You know what I'm saying? Our language is militant, right? Same as and another example of that, which I'm about to show you, is where we read Salakia, Asha. Now Asha is in Hebrew is the character A, Sha, and Aha, right? But since we got prepositions, possessives, and a tense attached to it, that ha dropped off and it was replaced, so to speak, by the stop, right? The same thing that's happening right here, all right? So right here we got Mawaf, which is the you know what I mean, the original word, like you see here, Mawaf, right? But we start to add all these different components to it, and we dropped off that wa in the middle, which is another reason why you know that when you is another reason why you know what I mean, sidebar, that when these fake Israelite groups say shalom, they dead wrong, because in our culture we don't have those. We get right to the root of the word. So instead of saying shalom, we say shalom, because that's the root of the word. Same here. All right, you saw here death or die is mawaf, but then you start adding these prepositions and you know what I mean, things like that. That y in the middle drops off. You might see that because of that reason. All right. All right. So the English is uh, basically, if anybody touch or offend or try to attack or harm Isaac or any of his wives, then they'll be surely put to death. All right. Here it say Mawath Yawamat, right? So it's used the word twice, you know what I mean, with some different prepositions, but it used the word twice, you know what I mean? That's how we speak, as well. Like, you know, like he basically saying, like, if you play with this man, you know what I mean, you try to you touch this man, you're gonna be dead. You know what I mean? That's how we talk, you know what I mean? We might, you know what I mean, we might you might see a duplicate of a word, or you might repeat a word to put some emphasis on it. That's just always been our culture. And you can tell that that's a culture that belongs to us, because we still do it to this day with our oppressors' language, right? If you read verse, we're not going to do it tonight, but we'll get into it tomorrow. But if you read verse 12, it'll show another example of that, where we just repeat, or it'll a word will be repeated just for emphasis sake, uh, like we do in our culture. But you know what I mean, with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up right there. You know what I mean, Lord willing, you took some excellent notes so that we can lock you. Lord willing, you took some excellent notes so that we can you know what I mean, so that you can start to compound your understanding and your sight words. You know what I mean? That's what's gonna help you. That's what's gonna help you be able to fly through this. You know what I mean? If you notice, you know what I mean, for the past couple months, we've been down on the board, kind of going through these lessons. You know what I mean, step by step, writing it down, and like the brother did last week. You know what I mean, down on the board. That's typically how we do things, doing the more in-depth breakdown. We came up here so that we can see it in practical application as we're reading it. All right. But you know what I mean? This is because that's where you're gonna learn, you know what I mean, reading it and in the actual app, reading it in the actual the language, so that you can be able to recognize it with your eyes. You know, it's one thing to be down on the board going through the specifics. The whole point of doing that is to get it committed to your memory. And then now we're gonna, you know what I mean, we're gonna apply everything that we've, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna knock the training wheels off and apply everything that we've learned up until this point over these past classes that we've done over this past year. All right. Well, with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up right there. Let me make sure there ain't no questions or comments in the chat. Okay, I see. Most High in Christ, brother. Yeah, and that's how you're gonna grow. You know what I'm saying? Taking them notes. That's how you gonna commit those things to memory, so that this could be second nature to us, so that we can take our language back. You know what I mean? That's the whole point. You know what I mean? To take this language back from our oppressors, man. Because they sure ain't gonna give it to us. They sure ain't gonna give it to us. You see what's going on overseas you know what I mean, in Israel. You know what I mean, and all these other nations. They fighting a war with one another, but they still find time to hate you, Black, Hispanic, and Native American, man, so that you don't come back to your culture. I mean, so that just goes to show how deep this culture is, and how important it is for us to come back to it, and how important it is for them to keep us away from it, like the priest brought out earlier. But Salaki, I ain't gonna beat a dead horse. But with that, we'll just say Salaki. We'll say I Madium, which means to stand. Go ahead and give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Individual Major Shabbat, I Madium, Barak, Yahaba Shim Yav Shabrakto, Yajimata, Sar. Give a courtesy salute to the sisters. We'll let you know when I got you. Individual Major Shabbat, I Madium, Barak. And that's when you see, this is what you was doing here. This is Imajim Shabbat. Like when we say Imajim Shabbat, this is Imajim Shabbat for the men. This is Imajim Shabbat for you. And then when I say Barak, then that's how you Barak. You turn to face the brothers. So typically you saw turn to face the brothers, or right, yeah, you would face the brothers and then do give the salute to the brothers. Or you already facing the teacher, so you know what I mean? Yeah, you good. And then you just Barak, and then Yahweh Shamar Latham Bashim Yahweh. And then Yajimata, which means hands down in the Hebrew, and then dismiss.